And key to all of that is how things are being automated in our ports. Joining us now are thought leaders from Kongsberg Maritime, University of Houston's College of Technology, Amazon, and Cooper Ports America. They are available to answer your questions during this presentation, so please drop those into the Q&A box as we go along. And with that said, let's dive right into this exciting presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining our Port of the Future panel discussion titled Automation in Ports of the Future. I'm delighted to present our dream team of maritime and logistics professionals with an impressive contribution in the global maritime industry. So we have Mr. Dave Morgan, President, Cooper Ports America, Mr. Vivek Barv, Manager, Digital Performance of Kongsberg Maritime, Inc., and Mr. Eric Tello. This is a new era of unmanned ships, smart containers, autonomous cranes, and we look forward to having a discussion and feedback from these three gentlemen, demonstrating the trends. Mr. Morgan, would you like to introduce yourself, sir?
Sure. Thank you, Maria. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dave Morgan. As Maria said, I'm the president of Cooper Ports America, which is known as CPA in our local world. And I've been in the terminal stevedoring logistic space for 30 years now. So an old timer on an automation panel. It will be interesting, so I'm glad we have some the young guns in here. And I'm going to talk about more the general cargo side for automation, since that's a lagging for us in our space, and not so much on the container side of life. And I would like to open up with a short video of how Cooper Ports America has attempted to automate the logistics in the general cargo space here at Houston City Docks.
Sounds great. Thank you, Mr. Morgan. We move on with Mr. Vivek Barv.
Hello, everybody. First, I'd like to thank you guys for having me here, allowing me to speak to everybody involved in this panel. I'm quite excited to see all the ideas that are going to be shared today. So my name is Vivek Barve. I'm currently the manager for digital performance at Kongsberg Maritime. But more recently, I've also been working with Kongsberg Digital, so I have a little bit of experience from a couple of different areas within Kongsberg. I've been with Kongsberg for about 12 years, mostly working in the automation side for offshore, so vessel management systems. And more recently, I've been kind of digging more into the digitalization and how that's going to affect the maritime industry. So a lot more focus on the digital side today, but having that background with automation really does help kind of get the overall picture of how our industry, we can hope, looks in the future. So excited to be here to discuss Port of the Future. So yeah, thanks for having me.
And we're excited to have you. Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Eric Tello.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. I'm a University of Houston alumni. Just graduated last spring of 2020. Delivery operations area manager at Amazon. I oversee a lot of the deliveries of the parcels and deliveries to businesses and homes around the Houston area. It's a pleasure to be here. I have a background in oil and gas, global supply chain. And yeah, I'm here to discuss how automation and technology will impact the Port of the Future and technology going forward. I work at Amazon. It's a very, very high-tech company using data, analytics, and new technology to try to make sure how we can better serve our customers and how this will affect the Port of the Future.
Thank you very much. So, gentlemen, you've been strategically selected because each one of you represents a different niche within automation. So we can't wait to hear your presentations. By the way, I'm Maria Burns, your moderator. I've spent 20 years plus in the maritime industry, and I'm an honorary member of the Coast Guard Auxiliary. I serve as faculty, director, and researcher at the University of Houston College of Technology. And now let us commence with Mr. Morgan's presentation. Sir?
Thank you, Maria. And we'll start off with a short video.
Serving Port Houston for over a century, City Docks logistics systems had become inefficient and costly for vessels and cargo owners. With multiple check-ins, delays, handwritten receipts, oil-leaking trucks, and unnecessary loading and unloading in disorganized, muddy yards, the risk of damage or loss to cargo was ever present. Cooper Ports America responded by implementing an efficient, cost-effective system utilizing innovative technology to provide arrival notifications, online scheduling for pickup, express check-in and check-out, real-time cargo tracking, a more efficient total logistics cargo handling system, better vessel production. Cargo is available faster than the current direct-to-truck discharge. One stop with less weight. The process remains under the care of Cooper Ports America's logistics team until your cargo reaches its destination. Upon arriving at City Docks, trucks now make one stop at the Cooper Ports America truck office, where our logistics team awaits. Clerks view orders, verify loads, and electronically sign receipts. Cooper Ports America offers a 100-acre steel laydown area to consolidate cargo. Real-time tracking provides updates until cargo reaches its destination. Cooper Ports America is building a cargo logistics community of excellence that's safe, efficient, accurate, and cost-effective. Contact Cooper Ports America for all of your cargo's logistics needs.
Thank you very much. And do you have your presentation slides, sir?
Yes, we're just going to go over the questions. So I have a slide for questions. So.
All right. So let me ask the first question for the three gentlemen. How is the industry coping with coronavirus-related disruptions?
So we'll continue in the order. Am I first on this one? Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just put some talking points up there, and as the COVID-related disruptions have been prevalent in all lines of business, unfortunately for us. But about almost a year ago, right, is when we started getting the description and the international pandemic of COVID. So as we are service providers in the Houston market, in the Texas market, the first thing we did was gather up our safety and risk department, and they immediately worked on it with our owners to procure proper PPE to assist in the working in the pandemic. Of course, we obviously monitored and published to our staff and our employees all the CDC notices and guidelines, the local and state guidelines and rules, along with as many of the organizations within the maritime field that put out the safety PPE and proper way to do business on the waterfront during this time. So we made sure that those were all out and made sure everyone was aware of what at that time is ever evolving, but the best practices for battling this pandemic on a day-to-day basis. We enabled our non-essential, our non-frontline personnel to work from home. Was one of the first things we did, and as a lot of others did. So we had to procure computers and set up offices in people's houses and enable them to stay home and safe and still able to do their work and take care of their families because the children were not going to school and all the other things that come about it on a home basis front. As I said, we're a service provider in the stevedorian terminal operations world. So our partners are the ILA. We work closely with them, the International Longshoremen's Association. And we did that, and we're a member of the West Gulf Maritime Association, which is a group of all of the local maritime industry. So we assisted in guide them in the frontline labor to work with us in servicing customers, because in our service providing world, we had to be able to bring people to the workplace, and to physically, we cannot work ships and terminals from home, unfortunately. It's all personnel driven and labor ready. So we had to bring out, all stops and make sure that that group was healthy and safe and being able to take care of our customers. In our business, service industry for vessels and terminal operations, we are accustomed to disruptions. Unfortunately, not necessarily a COVID worldwide pandemic. So this was unique to us. We're adept at handling fog and hurricanes and different other things that happen in our neck of the woods on a pretty routine basis. But this one is unique and continues to be unique. But I will say, and proud to say, that in dealing with all of these personnel and groups, and of course our own group, we have had zero service interruptions on our customers. And our customers, when I say our customers, those are steamship lines. All of our contracts are most of our contracts are with steamship lines. So ships have been able to come in and come out of the Port of Houston that CPA has contracts with in the ILA. We have contracts with the ILA, and we've been able to work from day one of this COVID pandemic, and we continue to evolve and work continuously as we speak. And now our pressing issue is the best way to get all of our frontline personnel, company, and ILA union labor to get the vaccination as fast as humanly possible. So that's our collective effort at this stage, along with keeping day-to-day business going for our customers.
Absolutely, and this is exactly what we want to hear. We want to hear that there is uninterrupted supply chain process, and there is optimization of your protocols. So thank you so much, Mr. Morgan. And now let us move on with Mr. Vivek Barb. Let us have his presentation.
Sure. Give me a second to share my screen here. All right. So thanks, Maria. So I just wanted to kind of share a vision with everybody here today about the Port of the Future, kind of from the perspective of Kongsberg, which is primarily a technology provider. So one of our key values at Kongsberg is collaboration. And so keeping that in mind, the way we would like to approach the development of the Port of the Future is really looking at it as an integrated solution. There's also, of course, some other high-level technology trends that are going to impact the industry as a whole. So we'll kind of take a look at that as well. But I'd like to start by just kind of giving everybody a brief introduction to Kongsberg. So at Kongsberg, we produce technologies all the way from the bottom of the ocean to outer space. We're organized into three key business areas. So that's Kongsberg Maritime, Kongsberg Digital, and Kongsberg Defense and Aerospace. But we always work as one team so that we can make sure that innovations from one business area can be applied to the others. So our really at the core of it all, our common denominator is our technology. And several of our state-of-the-art and more innovative solutions have come from this collaborative cross-company effort. So this is kind of the effort we would like to take when it comes to Port of the Future. So what we really see as one of the key drivers, and you'll probably hear me say this quite often throughout the presentation, is that we believe the system integration at a very large scale is going to be key when it comes to the success of the Port of the Future. One of our big challenges is going to be combining vessel information with other port services like navigational safety, the operations and logistics part of it. But there's some like key technology areas that we think might be of interest. So I'll start by taking a look at that and then see how all of that will come together when it comes to the port of the future. So we're going to start real quick with bathymetry and surveillance. So as for any other port or inland water situation, it's very important to have accurate and up-to-date subsea information. So one of the things we've come up with recently is a platform that can enable us to do this in a remote and autonomous manner. We call this the Sounder USV, which is an unmanned surface vehicle. It's a unique hull design, which is optimal for acoustic performance, which is important when it comes to things like noise and things like that when you're mapping the sea.
Folks, we apologize for that tech inconvenience. We'll have that corrected here momentarily. Thanks for your patience.
That are more adaptable for your local conditions, and since there's no need for a surface vehicle, it makes it much more economical. The second AUV we have is the Hugin. This is really a workhorse. We've had it for many decades. It's the AUV that was involved in several search missions for downed aircrafts and things like that. So it does come with a suite of sensors that makes it capable for intelligence gathering, surveillance, and reconnaissance missions. But we can also outfit it with other kinds of sensors, chemical sensors that we can use for environmental monitoring in addition to its search and rescue missions. And then, when it comes to all three of these systems that we've looked at, the ELUM, the Hugin, and the Sounder that was on the previous slide, all of them are capable of relaying real-time information feeds to the vessel traffic services or the management centers. So you can really get a very good overview of what's going on in your port. Another application we have is the under keel clearance. So Kongsberg provides a set of or a full suite of echo sounders that can be mounted on a variety of vessel types and a variety of different mounting systems. These systems also have the same capabilities when it comes to sharing data. And so we'll take a look at a video here on the next slide that really shows how we can use this information together, the bathymetry combined with the under keel clearance. So this is a demonstration we did. So it kind of shows you how you can really analyze and simulate a vessel coming in and out of port or doing operations in seaways. So you can overlay your under keel clearance from the vessel with the bathymetry data in kind of a user-friendly simulation environment, and you can really see how that vessel is going to behave coming in and out of ports. This also gives us a very unique functionality because we can use these tools for mission planning and risk assessments, especially if we start berthing new types of vessels in our ports. And I wanted to have a brief look at the traffic management services that we can provide. And Kongsberg is actually the company responsible for the first ever vessel traffic service system delivered in the world. Today we have VTS systems delivered in multiple different ports, and all of these systems have the capabilities to integrate with several third parties. So it really gives you a very good platform to integrate on top of. The system consists of sensor fusion modules, so you can integrate real-time sensor data with non-real-time sources. It's redundant and has continuous coverage. It has the capabilities to track up to 1,000 vessels or 1,000 moving targets with very high fidelity when it comes to target discrimination. The operator clients are very flexible in configurations. They have the capabilities to use rule-based notifications, so you can really use them as decision support systems. And they can all be customized and provide very high fidelity renderings and visualizations. This really allows the operators to work in a way that's most comfortable for them. So it's also important when it comes to user friendliness and ergonomics. On the traffic management side, the second thing we're working on is the VHF data exchange system. You can really think of this as the next iteration of AIS. It has improved capabilities when it comes to data sharing and also supports space-based systems. So one thing we'd like to point out is that gentleman you see in the picture there is probably one of our most expensive engineers. And you see him, he's actually working on an AIS antenna on the International Space Station. He's not a Kongsberg employee. We just train these guys to go out there and do what they need to do. But having that capability does open up a lot because the VDES also allows for two-way traffic back and forth between the shore and the ship. So two of the kind of use cases we've demonstrated here are, the first one is automated reporting. So for example, a vessel can share, say their environmental reports, with the coastal administrations before the vessel even makes it into the waters or into the jurisdiction. Another very interesting case that we had was in the Arctic. Kongsberg is a Norwegian company, so we do a lot of work in the Arctic region. And what we were able to do was feed a vessel with updated ice charts as she was making her way to the North Pole. And then another thing that we need to be worry about when we're talking about ports is that we also have our other partners when it comes to ports. So in addition to road and rail, we also need to worry about the ferries. So I know in Port of Houston we've got the ferry at Bolivar Point, and so we have a group within Kongsberg called Ship Intelligence that is kind of responsible for these new functionalities. So for example, the situational awareness is a very high level kind of almost safety tool that we can use. And it gives operators an elevated kind of bird's eye view of what the operation is and how the maneuver is happening. We also provide auto crossing and auto docking functions for ferries. And what these really do is, first of all, they're really important when it comes to our sustainability goals because they have been proven to minimize energy and fuel consumption. But they also allow for repeatable and predictable journeys, the point-to-point journeys that most of our ferries do. And then, being able to share that information with the VTS or the management centers it gives the port authorities a lot more visibility into the traffic and the general scheduling scenario within the waters. And we cannot really talk about the port of the future without discussing the workforce of the future, because the people that we have are going to be critical when it comes to how these technologies develop. So one of the things that Kongsberg does is that we provide very high fidelity maritime simulators. We have simulators that can be used for training operators at the VTS. But we also have full mission bridge simulators for training offshore crews, and also fast craft simulators, for training on search and rescue missions, things like that. One of the very unique features that these simulators have is that they can be kind of connected together, and we can create scenario-based trainings and collaborative training scenarios. For example, we can have a training scenario where, say, a offshore vessel has an experience of man overboard situation. So you can have the crew sitting at the bridge simulator. You can have the crew, the crew that's manning the fast craft in the fast craft simulator, and also have a back and forth with the VTS and the emergency response teams that will be assisting them in and out of port. So it really does create this more holistic and more kind of engaging training atmosphere. So I know we've talked a lot about integration, we've talked a lot about data. So I wanted to give a quick look at what we're doing when it comes to the data platform and communication structures. So at Kongsberg, we've developed a cloud platform called Cognify. The platform itself comes with certain features like visualization, analytics, and machine learning. We have simulation engines built into it, physics-based models. and a lot of the kind of building blocks that are necessary for further application development. The advantage of Cognify is that it has the capability of being connected to several different systems, several different types of systems, and really gives you the transparency and accurate and high quality data that you need for decision making. Cognify is an open platform. It conforms to a lot of industry standards, and it supports a lot of third-party integration. So it really allows for other OEMs, other independent software developers to build on top of this infrastructure. And one of the things that we kind of have learned through our journey with the maritime industry is that having this ease of deployment or this kind of common infrastructure really allows for scalability, which is crucial for a lot of these applications to make financial and economic sense. And in order to move all this data that we're talking about, we are going to need some sort of communication infrastructure. So we have the Maritime Broadband Radio, which is a fully independent communication system, which has a long range, high bandwidth, and deterministic latency. So the range, it's not exact, but because it depends a little bit on how you mount the system. But on average, you can get a good 70-kilometer range, which, as you can see on the map, is if we have one installed on the Fred Hartman Bridge here in Baytown, it would cover the entire ship channel, all of Galveston Bay, and also parts of the Houston anchorage. So you can really see how this can open up our communication network, so we're no longer dependent on VSATs and 4G, 5G type of connectivity. The system comes in a variety of different form factors. So they can be deployed on everything from pilot vessels to our survey vessels to security systems, but also on aircraft and other types of vehicles that will be in the area of port. So it gives you that flexibility when it comes to deployment. And last, I wanted to kind of show you what we are thinking about when we talk about system integration. Like we have a really good example from the aerospace industry, so a different type of port, but we've been able to achieve some very high level of system integration when it comes to airports. So we are, like I mentioned, we are a firm based in Norway. And Norway is a fairly large, kind of spread out country that has a lot of remote locations. And these locations have airports that see one, maybe two flights a day. So it didn't really make sense to have fully staffed air traffic control towers at each of these locations. So what we were able to do was by using a mix of surveillance and sensors, the ground equipment, automation systems, and communication systems, we were able to develop a remote tower concept. So what we're able to do now is have a continuous watch on all flight operations from a centralized location. These systems, just to give you an idea of what a remote tower looks like, that's kind of what it looks like. It's fairly compact, and it's capable of detecting, recognizing, and identifying a whole bunch of moving targets using both visual and infrared sensors. So it gives you that capability to operate even during poor weather conditions, which is fairly common in Norway. So it's important. The system has augmented information overlays for things like flight data, weather information, surveillance information, things like that. And today we're in the middle of deploying this on 15 airports in Norway, and we have deliveries scheduled to other countries as well. So it kind of gives you an idea of what is possible when you have that level of system integration. And I know in the maritime industry, it's a little different industry. We have our vessels are usually anywhere from 60 years old to something that was delivered last week. So our lifespans are different. So it is going to be a much bigger challenge when it comes to integrating a lot of these different generations of technology together. But this is what I kind of wanted to bring up this example to show what is possible. So in summary, what we'd like to see for the port of the future is that it's smart, connected, and a transparent ecosystem that enables safer, more secure, and environmentally sustainable operations. So this slide is, of course, our beautiful ship channel here in Houston. It kind of shows you what all is required for that kind of system integration. We have our VTS management centers that are controlling aids to navigation, navigational warnings. We need to be able to track every single vessel coming in and out of port. We need to be able to work with our partners, like our pilots associations, our dredging companies that keep these waterways open. And we need to have a way to get accurate data for our waterways, our ports and our inland waterways. These need to integrate with a whole variety of other systems that may not be real-time systems, so to speak, but that is the level of integration that we need so that we can really start leveraging the data we have with functions like artificial intelligence, machine learning. And this kind of integration is what will allow the Port of the Future to be future-proof, allowing for the advent of things like remote and autonomous vessels. With that, I'd like to thank everybody for your time, and I guess we'll wait for the questions at the end, Maria. So over to you.
Thank you very much. So, gentlemen, thank you both for sharing your impressive case studies. Now let us move on to a more interactive session. I will continue with the question that I previously asked Mr. Morgan. So let me ask Vivek and Eric, how do you think the industry is coping with coronavirus and the pertinent disruptions?
I'll let Eric talk because I just finished talking a lot.
So. All right.
Okay.
Definitely, I see the transportation and e-commerce industries are placing definitely a greater focus on worker safety and then dealing with additional disruptions that came along with COVID, such as when I'm at Amazon, unanticipated surges in demand. That was pretty unexpected. Even during COVID, we'll have unanticipated surges and declines. And then there's just a lot of unpredictability. So it's just a lot of planning and data analysis that has to take place with COVID now. It's just changed how business is done. And also managing labor and utilizing technology and software to help improve and streamline production, delivery processes with drivers, with customers. And how do I say it? It's just a lot more planning involved, managing labor, keeping everyone safe. And in addition to that, with the winter storm we had, COVID, you got to take into account COVID and then the traditional complexities that come with disruptions such as hurricanes, this winter storm we had. And I feel a lot of it from the Amazon side has just come with just again, better planning, trying to take account data, previous data, put that into your forecast, but also try to make room for any unanticipated surges, and also trying to see how technology can better help us read and interpret data, try to see where we can improve on our weak points, such as processing and delivering materials that our customers need, and also while keeping worker safety. Worker safety, it has kind of affected this. It kind of has disrupted how we can work. We got to make sure our workers are safe. They have their PPE. We can socially distance.
Absolutely.
I just feel it's definitely caused a lot of unanticipated surges and cycles in demand and decline. And it's just, again, the planning side. It's just planning has become a little bit more difficult because of COVID. But I just feel in the coming months, once things start to wind down, that we'll find that we'll be a more resilient and productive workforce.
Absolutely. And something that is interesting, both companies like Amazon, but also the maritime industry, they're shifting radically to this door-to-door logistics service, which now expands way beyond the port area. So this is very futuristic, and we'd love to hear also Vivek's opinion about this.
Sure. So, I think it's safe to say that the pandemic has had a definite impact on everybody, both personally but also professionally, right? I think when we look at it from how it affected us at Kongsberg, from our customers' perspective, things like that, there was definitely a kind of an initial pause in the industry. Like everyone kind of took a step back to assess the situation and really understand what's going on and how we can tackle it. But I know that in some areas, so we've definitely seen a strong uptick when it comes to adoption of new technologies, especially with things like remote services. we were able to commission vessels, like do everything from commissioning vessels to doing software upgrades remotely, and a large part of that was the pandemic. So it almost made customers a little more comfortable with these new technologies. So it's a bit of a interesting way to do it. Of course, we had our service guys, our commissioning engineers, all our traveling engineers, everything like that. We had to worry about their safety, make sure that they have all the PPE they need, which was, of course, during the initial times, it was a struggle just to get enough of it to maintain the level of safety that we expect, from ourselves. But another thing that we kind of have noticed is that a lot of the operators and charterers were kind of building their digital competencies within their organizations. And I think the pandemic has almost crystallized the importance of these initiatives when it comes to digitalization. Because a lot of people are understanding that, maybe it may not be that easy to go on a vessel anymore. So a lot of that work has to be done remotely. And I think combining that with other factors like sustainability goals, cybersecurity requirements, it just kind of makes sense for the industry to move more towards these digital services.
Absolutely. And we see that everyone is trying to redefine the new normal, and the new normal is beyond the human factor. Now the new normal involves technologies and automation much more, which, we're going there even faster than what we initially anticipated. So let me ask also, Eric, do you believe the coronavirus situation is promoting or impeding automation?
Definitely promoting automation. It's definitely given a lot of technology and software companies tools to try to make sure companies could better service and deliver their customers, whether it's remotely, limited in-person contact, and also coming up with new technology to give frontline workers the ability to simplify their jobs instead of depending on pen and paper to take orders or track inventory. They're being given scanners. They're being given smartphone technology to better trace their orders, track the orders, have more visibility on how to better serve customers. And also virtual realities come into effect. A lot of training is not typically being given to, is not involving face-to-face contact. It's now being done through virtual reality, automated trainings, a lot of training being done from home. And it's definitely done a lot from a safety perspective, but also I think in the post-COVID world, also from a more simplified and practical perspective. So if we can keep automating training, keep automating a lot of the functions frontline workers do, it'll definitely just improve lead times that customers to deliver to our customers. And I feel speeding up the development of customer service software so they could track their orders, be more involved in the shipping process. That way they have more visibility. And also just to help deal with the increased demand that's going to keep going as the economy keeps growing, the global population keeps growing. And also to just simplify a lot of the customer service perspective that's just email and phone. A lot of it's going to be done over the web. And like I said, COVID is just speeding up this automation of customer involvement and delivering for customers. And I feel it's also made us more dependent on technology before. As definitely right now, due to COVID, we're having this session where it could be done remotely from different locations as compared to just meeting in one location. And also with just the increased cost of everything because of all the supply chain disruptions, a lot more emphasis is being done on trying to find new technologies to just track freight, track your metrics, keep performance indicators, try to keep your costs low while the price of materials is going high. So I just feel with all the disruptions, it's only making automation faster with newer automated technologies that Vivek was discussing.
Absolutely. So let us move on with more questions so that we, try to make it even more interactive. Let me ask Mr. Dave Morgan, how are the global logistics systems impacted by automation? Mr. Morgan, I think you need to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're just switching over the screens.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Maria, I think I said in my opening, most people are familiar with the container side of our world and our business. The picture behind you is a 100% container terminal, and the container side of our business for the industry and service side is pretty well established, fairly automated, and pretty universal. Not only throughout the United States, but throughout the world. On some very good terminal operating systems that can track containers and track cargo for shippers and receivers for the Amazons of the world. So I'm not going to concentrate on that so much because that obviously is ever evolving and getting better and more efficient. But they're well on the track. Our concern from our space is on the break bulk side. And many people don't know the break bulk side is an old part of our business. And there's different names for it. It's general cargo, break bulk. Some people use non-automated, some people use non-container. So basically it's any type of cargo that ships in and ships out on vessels that is not in a container. In those systems, there really isn't any true blue automated system for them. They're very fragmented, and most are homegrown terminal operating systems. They're built up from private companies. For instance, in our case, we're owned by Cooper T. Smith and Ports America, and each owner has a homegrown general cargo terminal operating system. We happen to use in Houston, we use the Cooper T. Smith terminal operating system. And we're continually working to enhancing the automated, as you saw in the video in the beginning. I like to say, unfortunately, trying to get in, from the 19th century to the 20th century. Not even in today's world. We're so far behind, I think, on the general cargo side. And we've been working hard to enhance what we have to get a more seamless, transparent, and ultimately a more efficient way of doing business on the general cargo side. As Eric said, it's all about KPIs, efficiencies, and you constantly have to improve to keep up with competition and to your customers, or our customers and their customers are all looking for a better way to handle their cargo from door to door, as you said. And there is more and more. And part of our logistics systems that we started a little over a year ago, which is a change in a 100-year process at the Port of Houston City Docks, is to get more and more from door to door and let the customers come into our homegrown system as it stands now, and knowing exactly where their cargo is and making appointments and tracking their cargo. And it's a kind of a one-stop shop, as we like to say. So we're not there yet, but it's going in the correct direction. And currently, and it's part of another topic on this panel, but we're working with the Port of Houston. As I said, the general cargo side is very fragmented, very homegrown. And we're working with the Port of Houston to use a more universal terminal operating system that's general cargo centric. And we're trying it in the process of testing it at the city docks and working through that process now. And then ideally we'll take it to all of our Texas locations and terminals. So that is a fairly new development within the last couple of months. And the Port of Houston is being the conduit, which is good because in our industry, stevedore terminal operators, we tend to be very local and protective of our environment. And the Port of Houston has stepped in and said, hey, we need a more blanket coverage on terminal operating systems for the general cargo side, as they are the conduit in Houston for the container side of life on the terminal operating system. So this is very similar. We're very excited about it. We're not there yet, but hopefully we'll get to there, within this year is our goal. Because ultimately the customers are looking for a more efficient terminal operating system on the general cargo side to tie into their global logistics system. Because Again, all they're concerned, the shippers and receivers are concerned on getting their cargo from door to door as fast and as efficiently and as transparent as possible. So that's our goal. Hopefully we can get there sooner rather than later. It's been a long process on the general cargo side, but making progress.
Thank you so much, sir. And from your comments, I see that the future looks bright, both at a global level and both at a regional level. And it's exciting to hear about your collaboration with the Port of Houston. This is fantastic. That's what we want to hear. I have a number of questions, and I kindly ask each one of you to kind of try to make it a little bit more concise because we have many, many questions. So let me ask Mr. Vivek Barth, what are, in your opinion, the future trends of automation in ports and terminals?
Yeah, so I think one of the future trends, or what we would like to see anyway, as being a future trend, is a lot more transparency. I think Dave kind of pointed that out as well. That we do need a lot more data sharing. We do need to be able to use that data in our decision making, in our future more automated decision making as well. So today the issue is that anytime you write something down on a paper, it's one piece of data that a algorithm cannot look at. So that's kind of what we are hoping when it comes to automation. I think we've come a long way when it comes to automating a vessel. Most of the vessels today are fairly highly automated as well already, and I think that's the same trend that we would like to see on the port side.
Excellent. Mr. Morgan, would you have any comments? And again, I have so many questions for each one of you. So your concise comments on this one, the future trends.
Sure, I will make it as simple as I can. We just talked about it. Again, the container side on the future trends, they will continue to tweak and advance its current automated systems. They're stable, and they 100% assist in the global logistics chain. As I mentioned with general cargo, I think it's collaboration needed for transparency with, for example, our Port of Houston collaboration on a robust and universal terminal operating system. I think that's the immediate future for the general cargo. This forum and others have enabled us to communicate with other ports on the general cargo side around the world. So that has been a huge plus. Spoke to a few operators in Antwerp to talk about, terminal operating system because they handle a lot of general cargo in Antwerp. Some other ports in the European market we've talked to on trying to collaborate and come up with more of a universal system. So we're kind of spreading our little local wings to try to get more universal around the globe that have similar ideas. Although we all are competitors to some nature, we try and do what's best for the owner. And our general cargo, we're doing the best to enhance our current systems as we move to this better product. We'll continue to work on that until we have something better.
Absolutely. Do we have any other comments? Okay, let me move on to the next question. Many of you are working with your multimodal partners. So although some of you are focused on maritime, what is your opinion about multimodal transportation and the trend for automation to advance equally in all transportation modes? So instead of just advancing in one segment, we just move on in parallel tracks. What are your thoughts about this? To blend maritime, aviation, trucking, rail, and so forth. Mr. Morgan?
Yeah, since I have my screen up, I'll go first. And I'll keep it short and simple because it just ties on to what we've been talking about. And again, I can only speak for the maritime and in the trucking side of life. And we just added our truck brokerage and logistics a year ago for the city dock system, and we do trucking in the container side of the world too. But as I said, the general cargo terminal operating system and automation is lagging. The truck brokerage is even lagging behind that, unfortunately. So we are also in the process and trying again to work with the Port of Houston with the system that they are looking at is to tie in and dovetail truck brokerage into that, so that our trucking, once it leaves the port, can also be tracked and monitored until final destination, either on import or export cargo. And really, again, I can't say that side of the life for us is lagging even behind the general cargo side. So we're trying to cut that into the general cargo side on the trucking systems to help again the global logistics chain.
Thank you, sir. Let me now ask Mr. Eric Tello, do you observe automation being more prominent in specific geographical locations?
Actually, yes. Just to be short and concise with it, I would say definitely smaller terminals and smaller locations, just due to the amounts they handle lesser volumes at bigger terminals and bigger cities, specifically like in Houston, New York, LA would, because they have the capacity. They have the capacity to test new pilot programs. So that's something I find surprising. Definitely smaller locations that have the time and capacity. I see them being the forefront for automation, just because we could pilot new software and technology there. Just be as clear and concise as I can.
Absolutely. And then we see the maritime industry collaborating with e-commerce moguls like Amazon and Alibaba. So this collaboration brings great ideas for technologies and the industry in general. Mr. Morgan, do you have any comments on this one? Locations?
Simple ones. We are the general cargo side, again, I'll state for the fourth time, the container side is fine, or not fine, but it's good, and able to keep up with the times in all the different locations around the world. There are not too many geographical locations in the U.S. specifically, and really worldwide, that do general cargo anymore. So, as I said previously, we're working with some of the ports outside of the United States to enhance the general cargo terminal operating system automation. And most of the U.S. general cargo is located in the U.S. Gulf for the most part. There are other parts in the East and the West Coast that handle a little bit of general cargo, but not the majority that we do. And coincidentally, as you know, Houston is the largest general cargo by tonnage port in the United States of America. So most of it is right here in our backyard. And I asked that maybe Maria, kind of break us out of our localism, is to develop, a break bulk automated form or a study that we can all participate in and
Yep.
throw out the pros and cons of our business and try to work towards a more universal automated system.
That would be fantastic. And, this brings to my next question. I'm thinking that from the academia stance, we want to conduct innovative research because we want to support the industry. And also we want to support training, our students to moving to a next level of being familiar. So my next question is, what are the special skills that professionals of any age, any level within their careers required to adapt to this new reality of automation? Yeah.
That's me also.
Absolutely.
Well, today, the young professionals, as you have a couple of them on this panel with me, as I'm the old timer, which is good. They grew up in the gaming and the automated lifestyle their whole life, which is a bonus right off the bat versus some of us old timers. Unfortunately for us in the stevedoring and the terminal world, we're having a tough time recruiting the young professionals who are adept at automation and gaming and moving us into the next phase. our industry is not the most glamorous in the world. It's challenging and fun, and I love it for the 30 years I've been in it. But a lot of the young professionals today are not looking into we're at 24/7, 365-day operation. There's no weekends, there's no holidays when you're getting started. So it's not that fun. So we're having a huge problem on getting the young professionals to come into our business. So another academia, I know there's logistics and all kind of things that are going on, but we would surely like to participate. Again, they all have the skill set to get us through and move on. We just need to get them to come into our industry. That's our individual problem for stevedoring in terms of operating.
This is great. I've been in Houston for 10 years, and I've been teaching maritime purely, for 10 years. And I always tell my students, this is an amazing industry, and there are so many magic moments that you're going to have that you'll never find in any other industry. So, we're doing our best from the academia perspective as well to streamline them into the maritime industry. So, gentlemen, we just have 5 more minutes, so let us be more concise a little bit. I have a next question for Mr. Vivek Barb and any other gentleman that would like to answer. Many shipyards have designed fully unmanned automated ships at an exploratory level. And I saw that the technology that Mr. Barb presented to us was just amazing. So when do you see autonomous vessels operate fully? Like this is going to be the norm?
Well, some of them will operate today. So, for example, I think I showed the Sounder USV that we have, which is the unmanned surface vehicle, right? And so those type of vessels, they'll be smaller vessels. They'll be made for a specific kind of mission. Those type of vessels, I think we're going to start seeing them fairly soon. We already have a contract out for the Sounder, so they're going to be used in the fishing industry. They'll be used for scientific and research purposes. The AUVs, for example, have been autonomous for many years already. They're capable of carrying out their missions. But I think whenever this question comes up, it's usually about the big ships, the big container cargoes, the big ferries, things like that. And I know that we have a couple of projects that are ongoing. So one of them is the Yara Birkeland. It's actually a really interesting project simply because it came to us from well outside the maritime industry. It was initiated by Yara, who's primarily a fertilizer manufacturer. And they had a problem of shipping their product from where they manufacture it to the nearest deepwater port. And so the idea that came up was having a short sea shipping solution with a autonomous container feeder. The autonomy part of that project is what kind of allowed the return on investment to happen in the time frame that the customer was looking for. So those kind of solutions are going to be very interesting. I believe short sea shipping is a very good candidate for autonomy. But we also took like a very brief look at what we're doing with ferries, right? So the auto docking and auto crossing features. Today, those features are still being used on manned vessels because the crew is crucial to have on board these types of vessels. But just having that kind of, just being able to augment that ability onto existing vessels, I think we'll see a lot more of that happening. So a lot more automation kind of step by step until you get to a level where the vessel is able to make its own decisions.
So this is an exciting era with all these novelties to work, it's perfect. Thank you, gentlemen, for introducing us to this new era, telling us about the challenges, but the many opportunities. You showcased amazing trends and technologies. We feel you have enriched our perception of the industry. And having said this, I would like to thank each one of you. I would like to thank the University of Houston College of Technology, Dean Ambler, the director, Kevin Clement, for putting this together, the organizers of this event, Mr. Kyle Cornish and his team worked very hard, Simon, Pam. And at this point, do you have any last comments, like your last sentence, but it has to be a single sentence, how to move forward?
Maria, I just want to thank you for this panel, and thank you and the University of Houston. And the one sentence is to continue working together through your means to better help all of us in this industry move forward in automation for the future.
Excellent. Thank you, David. Mr. Barr?
Yeah, and I think Dave summed it up really well here, but I'd also like to thank everybody who organized this. It's a great event. I know it's difficult to do these things currently with what's going on in the world, but I believe it's important for the industry to keep engaging in these conversations. So I guess my last sentence will be, let's continue to collaborate and work on these exciting projects like the Port of the Future.
Thank you so much. Eric?
Again, I want to thank you, Professor Burns, for inviting me, all the organizers, the panelists that I got to participate with. And I'm also a proud supply chain and logistics technology graduate. So I'm very proud to be an alumni from the College of Technology. And last sentence I want to do is, let's just keep embracing technology. So let's just keep on embracing new innovations to make sure we have a better future.
Perfect. Thank you very much. This is the end of our panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks, Maria, for moderating that panel, and to your panelists for giving us tremendous info about automation in ports. This presentation will be posted tonight, so if you missed anything, you can certainly go back and review it later. Our next session begins in a couple of minutes, so we'll see you there momentarily. Thanks.